about the African Union being slow in responding. I think on the case of Sudan, which is what we are here discussing today, I think it's not a fair criticism. When the conflict in Sudan broke out on the 15th of April in 2023, the AU, through its Peace and Security Council, met the next day. Actually, I think on the 15th in the evening. So there was a convening, and there was a conversation around how to respond, and a statement was issued, and the chairperson of the African Commission, Musa Faki, actually also issued a statement. I think in a span of 1 month, they had met like 4 times, and at one point they met at the level of, because usually the PSC meets at the level of ambassadors who represent their countries at the AU. They met at the ministerial level. And then within the next month, in May, because of the seriousness of the issue, they actually convened at the heads of states level. Since that May, when they convened at the heads of states level, I've not seen the PSC convene at the heads of states level until last week, when the heads of states were meeting at the 38th Heads of State Summit that was happening in Addis Ababa, and they met to discuss 2 countries, DRC and Sudan again. So that criticism, I think the response was there. The concern, I think, and we must acknowledge, is decisive action. So they met, there's been many meetings and expressions of concern, but action that would then be impactful in changing the trajectory that the country was moving towards is what has been a concern to us. And I think we have tried as much as possible to push the AU to do more for the people of Sudan. And I think that's one of the things that we continue to do. And even our Sudanese colleagues here, they know a lot of it has been to try and push the AU to do more. At the African Commission level, they also, I think there's been quite a robust engagement by our Sudanese colleagues with the African Commission, trying to push them to do more, go beyond the statements that are issued, condemning what is happening and expressing concern. And last year, in August, finally, they decided to establish a fact-finding mission in collaboration with the AU. So the African Commission, in collaboration with the AU Department of Political Affairs, Peace and Security, established a fact-finding mission, which mirrors the fact-finding mission commission that has been established by the UN that His Excellency has just explained to us about. How we move then this to the next level is where the concern is. And Linda, you've asked about the Malabo Protocol that was supposed to establish what we would call our African Criminal Court. It was passed in over 10 years ago in 2014. A couple of countries signed on to it, but it needs the next step of ratification for it to come into force. So only one country actually ratified, which was Angola, and it remains the only country that has ratified. Last year, at the 10-year anniversary, a new initiative and push by the Pan-African Lawyers Union, Don, whom I'm representing on this panel, they started a new push towards trying to get member states to actually ratify and get the court going. So we don't have, within the continent, a court that specifically addresses international crimes. I know Bettina was very specific about international crimes. But it's not all doom and gloom. We are having these mechanisms that are documenting crimes and are documenting them at the scale of international crimes without recognition that international crimes are being committed. So how do we move from the documentation to the prosecution? I think yesterday we spoke about the fact that we have to have a long-term perspective with the Sudan situation, that justice and accountability will be served, but let's have a long-term perspective. That applies to how we then perceive and visualize how we will achieve that, we will get to prosecutions. So historically, we've had I'll give just 2 examples which are good within the continent that have been pushed by the African Union and regional mechanisms. So we had the Habre Extraordinary Chambers that were established to try the former Chadian president, Hissène Habre, in Senegal. The process of establishing those extraordinary chambers that tried him and sentenced him took very many years. And eventually it was the AU that pushed for the establishment of those chambers in Senegal and supported including financially, the establishment of those chambers, and eventually Hissène Habre was prosecuted. We also have currently, in December last year, the ECOWAS, the Economic Regional Bloc for the West African countries, in December they approved a statute to establish a hybrid tribunal to try serious crimes that were committed during the Jammeh era in Gambia. It's been a long process. If you recall, Jammeh was voted out in an election in 2017, at the beginning of 2017, January. So Gambia has just also walked through this path of a truth and reconciliation process that led to a recommendation on prosecution of the crimes committed, and even found Jammeh to have been culpable for some of the crimes that were committed, serious crimes that were committed during that era. So now, the Gambia now will take the next step to establish this hybrid court with the support of ECOWAS. The AU has actually also been working with the government of Gambia in this process. So while we may not have a continental body at the moment, there are efforts that we've seen that have been pushed, including by AU member states and the AU Commission itself, that have led to establishment of courts that are able to then pick up the investigations already done and investigate further and prosecute perpetrators of these serious international crimes. So I think I will stop by saying, in having that long-term view for Sudan, I think it's time we started also campaigning and advocating for the AU to start thinking about the establishment of a court that would then hold perpetrators to account. The AU Peace and Security Council has time and time again in its communiques, including the one on Friday, from the Friday meeting, talked about justice and accountability for the crimes being committed in Sudan. So we need to push them further to start thinking and to start articulating how that can be realized. And that then starts laying the foundations for us having a specific mechanism that will help us to try these crimes in the near future. Thank you.